Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm bringing you the first video in my super easy basic how-to videos. I'm doing a full coverage foundation routine. I will be doing a more natural no makeup foundation routine, but I feel like most people usually like to go for a perfected look nowadays. So I figured I would do this video first. And next, coming up on my channel, I believe at the end of this week, maybe even early next week, is going to be a really easy beginner's how to cut crease, which I just finished filming. Today again is the full coverage foundation routine. I go through all of the products that I like to use. I mentioned some high-end, some drugstore, which I really like when I'm given options in videos as opposed to being like, this is the only thing that you can use. Without further ado, if you'd like to see how I get my flawless foundation base for event makeup, long days at work, days that I just want to have a really perfected base, then just keep on watching. So I like to start off with primer. Obviously, you want to have something on your face to really make that full coverage foundation last, because why have full coverage if it's gonna like slip and slide off after a couple hours? So I have a couple of favorites that I like to use when I know I'm going to use a full coverage foundation. I like to use either the J1 Jelly Pack. This guy is, I believe it's exclusive to Sephora. I don't know where else you could get it, at least in the US. I also really love the Mineral Veil Primer from Hourglass and the e.l.f. Mineral Primer. Similar kind of products that I'm just going to try to include as many affordable, really awesome options that I really do believe work for anything that I can. So any of these three are amazing for really long lasting results in really nice, just, I don't know, good base for your foundation, because you always want to have that. I'm just going to use a J1 Jelly because I love it so much right now. I'm going to take a little bit of this guy. I like to do 1 or 2 pumps. And this guy is amazing if you have any kind of texture issues, if you have any dry spots, any acne that has like kind of crusty or pussy kind of stuff coming out of it. This guy's amazing for really smoothing it over, really making a really nice tacky base for the foundation to just kind of sit perfectly. It takes away any texture, which is what I love. The other two don't do that a whole ton. They help a little bit, but not as much as this guy if you have, like I said, dry patches or acne or any kind of textural issues. And you want to make sure to really pat this guy in. You don't want to smooth it over. You really want to pack it in, and you should feel kind of a tingling sensation, or like a cooling feeling, I should say, actually. And that's just kind of the moisture being pushed into your skin. And once all of the kind of jelly-like texture is gone and you get kind of that tacky base, you know that you have patted this guy in successfully. Cool. Before I go into foundation, I will do any kind of color correcting if I have any major issues. So for my dark circles, I use like a peachy tone corrector. So this one's from Bobbi Brown. And this guy is in the shade Bisque. I do also really love a kind of a like a liquidier texture. So like the Sephora Collection Bright Future corrector in the shade Peach. Like this guy is amazing. It's a little bit more affordable than the other guy. Marc Jacobs makes some really great ones. So I'm going to take the Bobbi Brown corrector and just kind of place it underneath my eyes where I get a lot of my dark circles. And when I'm doing a full coverage foundation look, I like to color correct first, because that way you end up running into a lot less issues when you get on into the foundation and concealer. Let me take a little bit on my lids as well, because my lids are kind of dark. And this is only for any kind of major things. If they're just small, like blemishes or not a whole ton of redness, I will skip this. But typically my under eye does need a little extra help, so I like to do this first. And that alone made a ton of difference. That is awesome. And then I don't know if you can tell on camera, but I have quite a bit of redness on my jawline and on my cheeks. That's just always been an issue for me. So I like to take a green corrector, and again, I have the Sephora one. Love this guy so much. One that I really love for people who have a lot of redness is the Marc Jacobs Covered Affairs. This is like a deodorant looking guy. It is a really awesome yellow and green color corrector for redness. So I'm gonna take this guy, and I just like to kind of swipe it on my cheeks and on my jawline. For some people this might seem a little excessive, but with me, redness is usually the most prominent feature of my face that kind of peeks through my foundation. So this is like a really light wash of green and yellow. It's not like a super intense green and yellow, which is why I like it a lot. And it goes on super, super thin too. It's not a thick layer. And I'm just gonna bounce that into my skin. Again, everyone will have different issues that they need to address, but my main ones are dark circles and redness. And do what's best for you. If you feel like you don't really have a ton of redness, and you feel like your foundation will cover it, you totally don't have to. Like, I'm pretty sure my foundation would cover it, but I'd much rather be precautious and kind of color correct a little bit so that I have less to cover up later. Okay, and there my skin looks pretty good already. I have a bunch of different foundations that I love for full coverage, and I do have some both drugstore and high-end options as well, which is really awesome. If I know I'm going for a really full coverage look, from the higher end of sides, I will take either my Lancome Teint Idole, I am in the shade 250 Bisque W, or I will take my Marc Jacobs Remarkable. I'm in the shade 14 Ivory. This guy is so full coverage, so thin, a little bit goes a really long way. This one is probably one of the most full coverage. It's one of the top two from the high end. Another one from the high end side is the Cover FX Custom Cover Drops. I actually use these guys to add coverage to my foundations. Like if the ones that I have that are more medium, but I want that kind of dewy look, like Makeup Forever Ultra HD. If I want to get a full coverage but have that finish, I will do like 2 drops of this guy in my Makeup Forever. Or you can even put it in drugstore foundations. It would be a really good way to amp up the coverage in any drugstore foundation that isn't kind of giving you what you want. Plus I have been in a shade that's a little too light for me, which is good because it's a good mixing shade. So if any of my foundations are ever too dark, I just add a little bit and it gives me extra coverage and makes it so it fits my skin, which is really cool. So really good option. These are really good ones to invest in because, like I said, it goes with anything. You can change the color, you can get a darker one. That way you can get paler foundations like you want in the winter, and then you can adjust them for the summer. So really good little product. Highly recommend that guy. And then from the drugstore, I have 4 options. I actually feel like the Matte and Poreless from Maybelline gives me pretty full coverage. As well as the CoverGirl Outlast 3-in-1. I love this guy so much. And of course the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte. Not my favorite because I do have really dry skin, but gives amazing coverage. And then the last one is of course the Milani Conceal and Perfect. This especially is one that I love to mix with the Cover FX drops because the lightest shade is so dark for us pale girls. It's kind of hard to wear it and not, you know, see that line. So those are kind of my options. Again, these work for my skin. I am pretty dry and normal. If you're oily, again, just find what works best for you. This guy would be awesome for oily skin. So would this guy, and I'm pretty sure this one would too. They just are pretty good for a lot of different skin tones, or skin types. I'm personally gonna take the Milani Conceal and Perfect and the Custom Cover Drops. I'm gonna add one more pump into my hand. Actually, it's more like half a pump. And then I'm going to take the G20 Cover Drops from Cover FX. 2 drops in there. A much better match for my skin. See, it looks a lot better than it by itself. So then I'm just going to take my Beauty Blender. And all of these guys will work really well with the Beauty Blender. The Marc Jacobs one you might have to use a brush with. But from my experience, I've been okay with the Beauty Blender. I feel like it just does apply a little bit better with a sponge or with a brush. But everything else will be amazing. Awesome, so now that's done. Now it's for concealer, and I'm gonna have both affordable and more high-end options. For the affordable side, I really do feel like the Instant Age Rewind is a really good one, especially for the under eye if you need a little bit extra coverage. And then for the face, I love the Maybelline Fit Me. I feel like it gives really good coverage. It's super affordable and it's just never done me wrong. So these 2 are my go-tos for full coverage from the drugstore. And then for high end, I have a few more than I would like, but I've just found that all 5 of these work really well. Tarte Shape Tape, of course, is amazing. NARS Radiant Creamy is amazing. The Lancome Effaceur is phenomenal. And the Urban Decay Naked Skin, and of course the Kat Von D, the newer one, the Lock-It Concealer, all of these guys do an amazing job of covering pretty much anything you throw at them, which is awesome, as long as you apply it the right way. So today I think I'm going to take the Lock It concealer, since I haven't used this guy on camera yet, even though I do really, really love it. I'm in the shade L3 Warm, mainly in my under eye, because I have these little like freckles right here, or like dark, I don't know what the heck they are. They're either dark spots or freckles. I think they're freckles, because I've had them as long as I can even imagine. And I'm just gonna apply it in my under eye, kind of that triangle. And I like it, hers is one of the more affordable ones from like Sephora and stuff, so that's pretty good. Then I'm going to kind of highlight, I'm gonna get around the nose, down the bridge of the nose. Really good. I said I do have some redness, so I'm just going to go back over here, my jawline. So that's kind of where I always conceal, no matter what. I don't have a whole ton of like surface breakouts. They're usually like underneath my skin, like little bumps. So there's all of it blended in. Now for powder, you can take a more full coverage powder, or like a powder foundation like the Bare Minerals Bare Pro, or even the Lock It powder from Kat Von D. These are two really awesome options from the higher end side of things. Or you can take the Coverall pressed powder from Wet n Wild. This is now discontinued, I believe, or it's being discontinued because the new Photo Focus one is coming in. I don't find that this one is as full coverage as this guy. This is more of like a kind of like a topping or finishing powder. This is more of like an actual powder foundation is what I have found. So I like the original. If you can still find it, it's amazing. Or even the, what's it called? Like a L'Oreal True Match powder. I'm gonna take a little bit of the Coverall powder, and first I'm gonna take some on my beauty blender, on the tip of my beauty blender, my under eye, and on my lid too. If you feel like the foundation concealer gave you enough coverage, then you can just feel free to use like a translucent powder, or just dust this all over your skin. But I'm just going to press this into the areas that I know either crease or fade away pretty quickly. And then just really lightly going to press some in everywhere else. This will just help to really, really, really seal it in. And that's pretty much it for the foundation, the Flawless Foundation Total Coverage Foundation. So I'm gonna go finish off my face and just finish putting everything off camera, and then I will come back and show you the final result. So here is the finished makeup. My face makeup has had a good amount of time to set. I sprayed it with a little bit of the Beauty Amplifier from Sephora, so it's really started to melt into my skin. It feels really nice. It doesn't feel tight or heavy, or even thick and heavy either, which is really nice. On days that I know I have super, super long days, events, things like that, I go for base makeup like this, and it doesn't transfer, nothing is moving. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please make sure to subscribe if you haven't already once again, and I will see you guys in my next video, which will be this eye look.